Welcome. And firstly, congratulations on the album RamTa. It's an absolutely wonderful album. I really liked it. And it's beautiful how just percussion instruments without vocals can bring in so much variety in terms of moods and soundscapes and just the quality of sound and texture. And without further ado, let's jump right into the interview. So the album is a fusion and amalgamation of different soundscapes. How did you choose which particular genres to bring in and fuse together?
Ananya, see, basically Ramta features six pieces. And to be honest with you, we didn't actually sit and plan कि हम क्या करेंगे. We just met and we said, let's go for piece number one. We'll decide the genre later. first, first, let's just lay down the ideas of what is in our head. We just discussed, okay, this can be in six beats, this can be in five, this can be in seven or nine and eight. So we just started laying down ideas. And one by one, I played something, then he played something, then I did something. So that's how it started coming out, materializing and बनता गया, कुछ चीजें ऐड होती गई. वो क्या कहते हैं ना कि वो कहावत है कि मैं तो निकला था अकेले, यहाँ हम दोनों निकले, लेकिन लोग मिलते गए, कारवां बढ़ता गया. तो हमारे दो के बीच में, रमता के बीच में इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स मिलते गए और ये कारवां आगे बढ़ के अब रमता आपके सामने खड़ा है.
Lovely. It is a fact because see, I think we started think when we started in Kolkata in my studio, Taufiq bhai just chose an instrument to start with, you know. So he picked up an instrument and we he was in the dubbing room and we started playing it. We chose a beats per minute, a tempo, and he started playing. So once he was done, he came out and said, "अब आप कुछ कीजिए." तो मैंने किया, and so it just went on and on. And I think what we were thinking primarily, and that's I think where the commonality is, as recording artists, which we both have been for many years, we think very sonically. We are not thinking necessarily intellectually, at least not in the first stage of creation. We're thinking sonically.
Right. So, sir, can you draw a contrast between how you mentally approach the composition of a fusion track versus the composition of a classical track?
See, when you say classical, you have to specify whether it's Indian classical or Western classical. Supposing it's an Indian classical genre, then it will obviously have some rag and a tal to it. Rag means a scale and a tal means a rhythmic. And that particular singer or the instrumentalist will follow a pattern of the rag and the tal. They will not deviate from it. But when you talk about world music, it's an amalgamation of different genres of music. When you do Afro, Cuban, Latin, Indian also you do some elements of classical music, Sufi music, North Indian, South Indian. So all these things come under the category of world music, and that's what we try to do.
Yeah, I think the only analogy there is, Taufiq bhai, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think the only analogy which can be made in comparison to world music is food.
Yeah,
Because see, cuisines
correct
are being mixed nowadays. So you will see a lot of influences of different countries, different cuisines
correct
meshing, and a humongous amount of people actually enjoying that food. You are taking these influences and creating a melting pot of traditions.
correct. Yeah, correct.
And I think for that, what's really important, and this is something actually Zakir bhai had told me, and we have to, I mean, Godfather of fusion, agar kahe to, he had said something wonderful to me in the 90s, early 90s. He had said, Bickram, if you want to learn something, a culture or a cultural kind of construct,
Yes.
then you will have to break bread with them.
Correct, absolutely.
आपको उनके साथ रहना है, खाना है, पीना है, understand their body language, their culture, how they move, what are the sounds that they are moving to, and when they hear the sound, how do they move? Is it a wave or is it a straight line? That kind of thing. So those cultural influences are really important. And I think Taufiq bhai and I both are very we're kind of world citizens. We don't have lot of biases, so to say. We're just open thinking individuals, traveling the world, eating different kinds of food,
Correct.
talking different languages. Sometimes
I speak only English and Hindi.
you speak RamTa language.
RamTa language.
I remember seeing my album once in the spiritual section next to Anup Jalota ji's bhajans. So I remember creating a ruckus. I went up to the storekeeper and said, "ये क्या कर दिया आप यहाँ क्यों रखा?" बोले, "सर हमको मालूम नहीं कहाँ रखेंगे, ये क्या genre है?"
देखिए तो यही है वही genres में जब हम जाते हैं ना तो then we kind of start feeling कि ये है इसे यहाँ रहना चाहिए इसलिए
So, fusion music, or maybe as you said, world music, has been on the rise lately. Initially, there was a stark difference between the audiences and performers of classical music versus that of maybe folk music or Western music. Do you think there is a particular incident which instigated the blurring of this boundary?
Nice question. Good question. See, I think not just the two of us, but people like us who had traveled the world and had seen all these different kinds of music, heard different kinds of music. I think we started sensing more and more, like Taufiq bhai just said, there is only one platter where music is concerned. And it is all kinds of music are at the end of the day music. And for us, or a few of us, the boundary without us wanting to do it. It was happening very naturally. Because when he traveled, say, to Africa or to a Mexican country or a Cuban country, he would listen to the music and think, अरे ये तो हमारा अनाघात जैसा है, ये क्लावे के साथ हमारा ये रेला, लमछड़ रेला जिसे हम कहते हैं, वो थोड़ा बहुत क्लावे के साथ.
What he's saying is absolutely right. See, Dada, I've always felt this Delhi Gharana Qaeda. If you actually see it, it's a bossa nova. ये वही चीज है. तो हमारे लिए actually, to be honest with you, Ananya, boundaries started not blurring but becoming clearer. अरे ये तो राजस्थान में है, ये तो स्पेन में भी बज रहा है, ये देखिए क्लावे बज रहा है, हमारे यहाँ करताल बजता है, सिमिलर पैटर्न है, वो गिटार बज रहा है, कमर दे. So for us the boundaries actually started melting,
not blurring.
निकलने लगा कि हाँ यहाँ से हम ये भी ले सकते हैं, इसको यहाँ मिला सकते हैं, उसको वहां से लेके यहाँ मिला सकते हैं, ऑलरेडी मिला हुआ है. ये सब पूरा जो म्यूजिकल थिंग है ना कहीं सब कुछ कनेक्टेड है. We don't know from where to where who has gone.
And interestingly, the cosmos conspires then. When you start thinking like that, the cosmos conspires. You think of Taufiq Bhai's journey. He is from a great gharana and a great house of tabla. Great house of tabla. He takes the djembe as his instrument, which is an African instrument. And then he starts putting content from tabla into the djembe. And he creates a third form.
Are there any memorable behind the scene moments which are really close to your heart and which stuck with you, which you can share with us?
I would like to say that one evening in my studio, after the recording was done, Taufiq Bhai and I just started talking. And I think that particular evening, much was said. And what was said was not just musical, but was also history, our histories, how we came to be. Where does a Taufiq Qureshi come from? Where does a Bickram Ghosh come from? Who were we and who have we become? And I think that particular evening, behind the scenes, it was very important and very special because we came to, I think, know each other a little better that evening. And as I said, a lot was said. And through those nuggets of information, I think we realized how close we have been without realizing it, And that was special because through that journey, a bond was formed. And then the next day when we went back to the music, something was a little more calibrated because, as people, when you connect, then it shows in the music.
Yeah.
I think that's the special thing one carries from RamTa.
So, both of you have come from huge artistic families, legendary musicians. How did you kind of carve your own path and find your own niche and do what you do today? Because coming from such huge families and do something different, how did you go about that journey?
Well, I'm still trying to carve.
No, no,
I'm
Taufiq bhai.
still making my way, because I've been doing the djembe, since 98. Or actually transposing the knowledge since 2002. So for me, one. So it's just been about 23 years for me. There's still lots more to go, I feel. But yes, I mean, people know me as a separate musician, and that's because I think in my life I realized one thing, that you know the A to Z of music, the A to Z was over. A for Allah Rakha, Z for Zakir Hussain. So I had to have a different language. I had to have a different vocabulary. In case now I need people to know me, if I need to be recognized, or people can pinpoint, oh, he's doing something different, is I realize I need to have a different medium through which I can do this. And that's what made me choose a different path, whereby I went into the djembe and I started transposing all that knowledge. So yes, I am known now, and but still my journey is still on, and I'm still trying to carve a place for myself, which I can maybe not me, but maybe my son or my students can say that, oh, and others can say that he's carved a niche for himself. That's what I feel.
Like Tawfiq bhai said, I think there is each one of us wants to do something a little out of the box, something that you will be recognized for separately. And so my journey was also that keeping the instrument of the tabla, how do I create a sound which is a little different and can be regarded as a signature at some point of time. So that's when, again, around the same time that he was blossoming on the djembe, I was thinking of the hands-on with the low sa tabla, how to combine that with the body drumming and all of those things together. I think that journey is a separate journey from the classical tabla player. And that was very necessary. I think for both of us, it was very necessary because otherwise we would have been simply in the shadows, of these great, you know, doyens. And for me, I'm sure, like for Tawfiq Bhai also, it was difficult. Early years were very difficult because I was constantly compared negatively to my father. Early years they were like, बहुत अच्छा है लेकिन पिताजी जैसा तो नहीं है. But then you realize कि अपना voice जब तक नहीं होगा, you are not really accepted by people. So that journey for me was equally interesting, that how does one find that voice. And today there is a sound that is different, there is a kind of playing, and I also had a lot of Carnatic influences which I brought to my tabla kit, which I play. So it's very, you can't segregate it. It's very holistic. At the end of the day, it's our families are very much there within the playing, and yet there is this little part. My head is maybe standing out of something. You can see a little bit of one tuft of hair of Tawfiq Bhai's in mind. Yeah, अच्छा ये लोग कुछ अलग कर रहे हैं, कुछ कोशिश कर रहे हैं अलग. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. तो
Right.
कोशिश करने वालों की हार नहीं होती, लहरों से डर के नौका पार नहीं होती.
क्या बात है.
Definitely. So you have carved a niche. People do recognize you a lot more than your families. So, picking up from that, are there any specific riyaz routines you got from Zakir ji, Allah Rakha ji, and Shankar Ghosh, Pandit Shankar Ghosh ji?
Actually, from a very young age, I have always been different, I think. So my routines have also been very, very different. Where Riyaz is concerned, I know my father would get up at 5 in the morning, where his ustad would make him wear, used to wear lungis and one ganji, banyan. And then that in Lahore, it used to be very, very cold at 5 in the morning, like 4 degrees, 3 degrees. And he would sit and do riyaz till the banyan is full of sweat. And then the ustad would come and वो निचोड़ते थे और बकेट में कितना पसीना जमा हुआ and he would say, नहीं और रियाज करो, पहनो इसको. तो वो रूटीन अलग ही था. वो सुन के ही पहले लगता था कि यार ये तो होने वाला नहीं है हमसे रियाज. Later onwards in my life, I started doing riyaz in the night. So my riyaz, you can say from 98 or 99 onwards, I started practicing in the night. So I would start my riyaz at about 10:30, 11, and go until 2:30, and then I would take a shower and sleep. And fortunately, wherever I've stayed since then, my neighbors have been very good. I found very good neighbors because when you do riyaz on a percussion instrument, middle of the night, people are bound to get disturbed. But my neighbors, I used to stay in Kandivali first, and then I shifted to Prabhadevi. So all the neighbors have been very, very understanding and kind. In fact, so much so that many times the next day I would meet them. एक दिन मिले तो बोले आपका रियाज नहीं हुआ कल, अच्छी नींद नहीं लगी. So my riyaz has been in the night because I feel that at that time, no phone, nothing, switch it off. Nobody's going to call me and disturb me. It's my time and I'm going to be just connected with the instrument. I make it dark, just one light will be on and I'll do my riyaz.
I will give you a very specific spin on that, because I did have something which was passed down to me from my father, very, very specific thing. One thing my father would make me do, and especially in the mornings, he used to go to the market to buy the food for the day. He used to love doing that. So jab jate the, he would give me a little nugget of information. And he would say, be at it and don't stop. Just be at it. Keep creating, from it. See where it takes you. So I think that became a routine for more than practicing one syllable for 1 hour, or one qaida for 1 hour, half an hour, or a composition time and time and time and time and over again. I was doing a lot of this. I was taking an idea and developing it on my own. And for that has remained Riyaz for me even today.
My last question is, are you looking forward to something in the year? Anything in store for you?
Well, right now we are looking forward to RamTa.
RamTa.
RamTa. This whole year, I think we're going to be concentrating on this.
Yes.
RamTa, going to different cities, maybe different countries. Let's see, inshallah, kya hota hai. We are looking forward to that and to collaborating more on live concerts.
Yeah.
Both of us.
And which means hanging out more, which is very happy news.
Yeah, I think we love hanging around.
I love.
You see, the important part of us is that we are both artists who are now, with God's grace and our Guru's blessings, well known. But being well known, we don't have any hang-ups with each other. There's no ego issues here. While even working on the album, I would say something and he would agree, and he would say something, I would agree. We don't have this thing about कि नहीं ये ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, वैसे होना चाहिए. That is the best example of what is the definition of fusion is: to melt and to blend. I think while working on this, we melted everything: our ego, behavior, attitudes, music, obviously. So we melted it, no, so we could blend it.
Just the other day when we were playing in Delhi, 4 days back, Taufiq Bhai did a solo, and I told him after the concert also, I said, you nailed it, and how today, it was like a fantastic solo, And while he's playing, I am consciously feeling the first instinct is not, "Arey baap re, ab main kya bajaunga?" It's not that. The first instinct is, wow, look at him, he's really shining today, And then afterwards, I'm thinking, now when his solo is coming to, and I'm thinking, अब मुझे भी कुछ करना है, but it's a secondary thought, So I think that is one's love for the music, and the fact that he's a person like that makes me want to be the person like I am, And it is only possible when you're not constricted by the ego.
Correct.
That is the only way to do it. Otherwise, you will make a mess of any concert, any project, any album. You'll make a mess of it if your ego comes in there.
Yeah, when he's playing solo, like after me, when he played, I was enjoying his solo. And I was saying, wow, where is he taking it? So we are enjoying each other on stage, So that's a very important part. My father used to always say, okay, when you're performing, when you're playing, if you're not enjoying, then the audience won't enjoy.
Exactly.
You have to enjoy what you're presenting, playing, and then only the audience will enjoy it.
Thank you so much for being with us today, sir. It was absolutely amazing speaking to both of you, getting insights on your own lives from the music world, from the industry, and just it was absolutely beautiful speaking to you. So thank you so much for coming on board.
Take care.
You.
God bless.
Bye.